there, and welcome to my channel. In today's video, I'm going to tell you what it means to have a moon in Scorpio. Our moon sign is quite different from our sun sign. Our moon sign represents our private, inner emotional world. Our sun sign represents our most conscious, visible expression. Our sun sign traits and qualities can be quite evident, as these are traits and qualities we clearly display. However, our moon sign traits might not be that obvious because this is a side of ourselves that is more private. Usually people that we are quite close and intimate with will notice our moon sign traits. However, people that we aren't that close with might not notice this side to us. A person who has a Scorpio moon would have grown up in an environment where they felt that they could not really be themselves and that their behaviors would be ridiculed. The people in their early life try to control them and the behaviors a lot, and due to this, they learned to form somewhat of a private inner emotional world as well as a private life that keeps them away from the clutches and the control of the people in their lives. It is important for Moon and Scorpio natives to get a lot of time alone, especially when they are young. They have a very complex, deep inner emotional world, and it's very difficult for them to deal with and understand their own emotions. When they're constantly surrounded by other people, it's even more overwhelming for them to actually manage and deal with their emotions. When a Scorpio moon child is forced out of their shell too much and they're forced to be around other people too much, it can have very disastrous consequences on their emotional world because they're not allowed enough time to reflect and get to know themselves. When a Scorpio moon native is young, it's very difficult for them to be friends with people of their own age. They have a highly intellectual and observant nature, and they're usually noticing things around them that other people don't. When they're young, it's very tricky for them because other kids just want to play and they're just interested in kid stuff. However, a Scorpio moon kid is interested in much more darker stuff than what kids usually are. Scorpio moon kids can be into things like death. Scorpio moon kids are into mysterious things that are unseen, things that other kids usually aren't into. Very often when a Scorpio moon native is young, they feel incredibly lonely because they feel that they don't really have any friends that they can turn to, but they also don't really have any adult or parental figures that they can really trust and be themselves to. It is a very lonely world for a Scorpio moon child because they feel that there's no one in their life they can actually trust and open up to. I know this is a very sensitive topic, but I do need to mention this. A lot of Scorpio moon children are prone to self-harm because they feel so incredibly misunderstood and nobody in their life is able to help them process and deal with their emotions. They feel entirely alone to deal with what is going on inside them, and very often one of the only ways for them to actually deal with this pain is through very self-destructive methods. Scorpio moon natives and Scorpio moon children are incredibly misunderstood. The reason for this is because they develop an eye to see the unseen, to see the hidden from a very young age. And the things that they see are things that other people don't see and are things that other people are not aware of. What I mean by this is they can see the hidden motivations of people. Even if people tell them they're doing something for this reason, they can see the actual reason why. They can see the pain and suffering that people are actually hiding. They can see how people's actions lead to pain and suffering in other people. There's so many things that they're aware of and that they can see, but that they cannot really speak of and that they cannot really open up about. They're so aware of the more darker, hidden nature of humans. Even though a lot of people try and hide their more darker intentions, a Scorpio moon can see it. Because of this, Scorpio moons feel incredibly alone. It's very difficult for them to find people that they can trust, in whom they can actually see these people have no darker motivations or negative intentions. Very often, Scorpio moon natives live a very lonely life. They're so aware and they're so receptive and open to the things in the world that people do not discuss and people aren't aware of, that it's highly difficult for them to actually be part of this world. Being in this world and engaging with the people in this world can be a very painful process for a Scorpio moon because, like I said, they can see all these hidden motivations in people. They can see all the darker things that are actually going on, but they can't really talk about it. Because often, if they do try and talk about it, and if they do try and let people know what they see and what they're feeling and what they're going through, people don't really understand it. People don't really get it, because these people do not have the ability to comprehend these more hidden things and these more hidden dynamics that are going on that a Scorpio moon can. Because of this, Scorpio moons feel highly lonely, because there's no one they can actually talk to about the things they're aware of and the things that they see and the things that they feel and that they go through. Some Scorpio moons eventually live such a lonely life that they often feel that if they had gone missing, or if they just disappear, that nobody would really care, nobody would really notice. The reason for this is because they can remove and isolate themselves from the world and from other people to such an extent that it does feel that they're not actually part of this world, that they live in their own little world, in their own little existence. Scorpio moon natives can often feel highly disconnected from the world, even though the sign Scorpio represents connection, even though the sign Scorpio represents deep, meaningful connection. But the reason for this is because it's actually very difficult for Scorpios to find this deep, meaningful connection. All they are after is a deep, highly meaningful connection, and if they cannot find that, they're not really interested. Now, because the nature of the world that we're living in right now is highly superficial and highly pretentious, this does make life difficult for Scorpio moons. When a Scorpio moon is trying to develop friendships and relationships with people, but they can see that these people are hiding things from them and that these people aren't being their authentic self, and that they've got some darker intentions and motivations going on, then it's highly difficult for a Scorpio moon to actually have a friendship or a relationship with this person. Because so many people are like that, they're unable to actually open up about their authentic self and speak their inner truth and actually connect with other people in a deep, profound way. Scorpio moons struggle to actually find people they connect with in this life, and many of them can lead a very lonely life. However, this is not always the case. Many Scorpio moons do have lots of close friends and people that they can trust. Scorpio moon people can feel very trapped in their life. They can feel like they're in these circumstances or in a situation in their life that they know no way out of. The only way for them to deal with this feeling of being trapped and getting through this situation they know no way out of is to build this sense of inner resilience and inner strength. You see, the thing is, many people are happy with living a life where they're not aware. They're happy with living a superficial life where they're not connected with themselves and their true selves, and they do not live according to their inner truth. But a Scorpio moon is not. A Scorpio moon will live their life in a great deal of inner resistance all the time. And the reason for this is because they cannot accept and they cannot come to terms with the truth of the reality that they're in. Many times it's painful and difficult for them to accept that other people do not see the things that they do, and other people aren't as sensitive and aware and intuitive as what they are. Very often the only way that they can get through life is to just deal with the circumstances that they're in, but to build this sense of inner power and inner resilience that is unbreakable. Over time, what happens is a Scorpio moon will be in a situation in their life that they're really unhappy in, or that they don't really want to be in, but they'll learn to be happy in that situation, and they'll learn to deal with it through growing this sense of inner power and strength and inner self-control. Scorpio moons are very good at seeing the truth. They can see through any lie, they can see through any attempt to cover up the truth and to make something appear like something else. They have a keen eye for bullshit, and they can see straight away when something is made to appear like something it should be when it isn't. However, on the other hand, Scorpio moons are very good at unearthing things that are going on that other people are not aware of, that other people should be aware of. But very often when they unearth these things, people say they're crazy, but they do not actually possess the insight and the ability to see the truth for what it actually is. Scorpio moons have a very strong inner voice. Their inner voice shouts at them louder than what most other moon signs do. Very often a Scorpio moon can feel like they're crazy because there's a voice inside them shouting at them. Maybe this voice is telling them something about another person. Maybe this voice is telling them something about a situation in their life. The Scorpio moon will often doubt themselves and they'll try and rationalize with themselves and tell them that it's not that way. But eventually their inner voice turns into their emotions and it starts eating at them. It starts chipping away at their happiness. They cannot function like normal people until they actually address this inner voice and this emotion that is screaming at them. The reason that this inner voice and emotion is screaming at them is because they're highly intuitive and they can actually feel and see things that they're not even aware of. Very often a Scorpio moon can sense when someone is betraying them and when someone is backstabbing them or talking behind their back. They might tell themselves that they're just imagining things, but they're actually not. What their inner voice and emotions is telling them about that situation and that person is 100% true. For this reason, Scorpio moons and also the other water moons like Cancer and Pisces moons can be very receptive and psychic people. But the problem is with the Scorpio moon, it's very tricky because they have this inner voice that shouts at them, but also often their emotions are very subjective. They feel these very intense emotions based on what they have experienced and what they've gone through. They mistake this for their inner voice and they mistake this for their intuition, but actually it's just their emotions. It's important that a Scorpio moon learns to reach a sense of inner self-control so that they can differentiate between their inner voice and their intuition and between their extreme subjective emotions. Most of the time, what they're feeling and what's going on inside them will point them in the right direction as it is their intuition guiding them. But very often they do get tricked by their emotions to believe that it is their intuition, and then they do make the wrong decisions and they do the wrong things. When a Scorpio moon lacks personal power and self-control, this happens. However, when a Scorpio moon has learned to control themselves and they've learned to harness the sense of power and connection within, this will rarely happen. The emotional world of a Scorpio moon is so extreme and intense. The best way I can describe it, it's like being in a cage, stuck with all these beasts and all these monsters trying to attack you. It's like there's no way out of this cage and you're just being attacked by all these beasts and monsters, which are actually your emotions. And the only thing that you can really do is give in to this attack, is give in to this overwhelming wave of emotions that come over you and just let it do what it needs to do until eventually it's done its thing and it goes away. As a Scorpio moon, you can't really resist your emotions. There's no way. There's no way to suppress your emotions. It's impossible. It's not like with other moon signs where you can just move on with your life and do your daily thing and function like a normal person and just pretend that there's nothing wrong with you and ignore what's actually happening. With the Scorpio moon, this is unachievable. What happens inside you screams at you. It's literally like you're being attacked and there's nothing you can do and there's no way out from it. That is why Scorpio moon people seem very extreme to other people. Other people don't really understand what's going on with them, but like I said, this inner emotional world that they experience is so incredibly overwhelming and it's so incredibly painful to them. Now, a thing I've heard a lot about Scorpio moons is when it's great, it's awesome, but when it's bad, it's awful. Now, this is very true. When you're with the Scorpio moon and they're in a really good mood and they're happy and they're in a good space and they've got lots of inner control and they're connected with themselves, they can be one of the most inspiring and incredible people to be around. These people can teach you to connect with yourself. These people can teach you to be a stronger, better person. But when a Scorpio moon is in a more depressed, angry mood, it will be like all hell breaks loose. It'll be like opening a cage of monsters that are set loose and that are literally just destroying everything. That is what Scorpio Moon is like when they're in their negative emotional space. But when they're in their positive emotional space, it's like being with an angel. Scorpio Moon people actually do have people very often in their life that love them a lot. There are some people that are very attracted to the intensity and the passion that the Scorpio Moon possesses. But these are people that need to be prepared to deal with these two emotional extremes that the Scorpio Moon goes through. The one extreme being like literally being with an angelic being, and that experience when they're in their good mood is incomparable to an experience you can have with any other person, but when they're at their worst, it's really, really bad. Scorpio Moon natives are literally fighting this massive inner battle with themselves their entire life. This inner battle that they are fighting is with their emotions. Every single Scorpio Moon out there most likely wishes that their emotions won't be so intense, that their emotions won't be so extreme. They'll try and live their life normally, and then something will happen and an emotion will start creeping up and it will literally overtake their entire existence and they cannot function anymore. And this really, really annoys them. They go through this inner resistance and this inner battle within themselves permanently. Scorpio Moons have a very difficult time trusting people. The reason for this is because when they were young, they were most likely betrayed by a family member or parent. The people that they were meant to trust in their life, they've learned that they cannot actually trust them. Due to this reason, it's very difficult for them to literally trust any person in this world, because the people that were the closest to them or meant to be the closest to them betrayed them so deeply. Just like a Cancer moon, what a Scorpio moon does is when they're around people, they usually have their emotions very well composed and they seem like they're very in control. But when they're emotionally triggered, what they will do is when they are alone and when they are in private, they will have an emotional breakdown. They usually don't want other people to see them in this state because they do want other people to perceive them as these strong, resilient people. But when a Scorpio moon does finally break down, they can literally cry for hours and hours on end. Sometimes they can cry for days on end. The emotions that they keep bottled up and in control inside them when they're actually around other people reaches such a turbulent point that when they're alone, they break down entirely. This is why it is quite important for a Scorpio moon to get a lot of alone time, because when they're not alone very often, the emotions inside them do reach like a tipping point. And when they have to deal with these breakdowns in isolation, it's much more severe, it's much more extreme. However, when they are allowed more freedom and time to process their emotions, especially their negative emotions when they're alone, it's easier for them to deal with it. It's easier for them to handle. But when it becomes like almost like the situation when they never allow time to themselves to let all those emotions that are bottling up explode like a volcano, when it does explode, the eruption is more severe and more damaging than ever before. But the more they're allowed to erupt and the more they're allowed to explode, each explosion isn't as damaging and it's not as severe. Now, these eruptions and these emotional explosions that they go through inside themselves can be highly destructive. It can be highly self-destructive, it can be destructive to their environment, and it can be destructive to the people around them. The thing is, the Scorpio moon does not intend for their emotions to be so destructive. But because it's so difficult for them to resist it and for them to actually manage it and deal with it, it just turns destructive. It ends up destroying everything around them, even themselves. The more time they're actually allowed to deal with these explosive emotional times that they go through, the less destructive each emotional eruption will be. However, the longer and longer they bottle it up for and the less they actually allow themselves to erupt, the more destructive that eruption of emotions actually is. I don't know if I'm making any sense right now. Scorpio moons subconsciously are hyper tuned in and hyper aware to the secret lies, manipulation, bad intentions negative thoughts, and all those things that the people around them have. The reason for this is because, like I said, they've been so betrayed by somebody that they trusted in an early point in their life that now they're hyper turned on to betrayal in every single person that they deal with. Most people don't really scan you and observe you and try and see if you're going to betray them or if you're lying to them or if your intentions are negative. But Scorpio moons do. For this reason, it can often feel like Scorpio moons are consistently interrogating you or they're watching you like a hawk. It's because they're trying to see whether your intentions toward them are actually positive or actually negative. Scorpio moons are incredibly sexual people. However, unlike Scorpio suns, who are highly sexual and it shows, it's highly visible how sexual they are, Scorpio moon keeps their sexuality hidden. They keep it private. Whereas a Scorpio sun uses sexuality in a way to gain power in their life, whether it is over other people or whether it is over themselves. A Scorpio moon does not really use sexuality for power. To a Scorpio moon, their sexuality is a very private, secret thing. You won't even know how incredibly sexual a Scorpio moon can actually be until you're actually intimately involved with them. Unlike a Scorpio sun, who will make it quite evident and quite obvious how sexual they actually are. Now, at the end of the day, it's not a competition. Both Scorpio suns and Scorpio moons can be equally as sexual and intense. But what I'm saying here is with the Scorpio sun, the presence of this intense sexuality is much more obvious. They make it much more known. Whereas with the Scorpio moon, it's not that obvious. They don't make it very known, but it is there. Scorpio moons are highly passionate. They're highly intense. And when they love you, it is intense. But when a Scorpio moon is in love, they can burn quite hot and cold for their lover. What I mean by this is when their emotions are in a good space, they're very loving and passionate and admiring towards their lover. They can be the best lover out there. But when they're in a negative state, they're not this loving, passionate, amazing person that their lover is used to being around. To a Scorpio moon, love and hate is kind of the same thing, and they love and hate equally. So when they love you, they most likely hate you a little bit as well. So like I mentioned earlier, for a Scorpio moon, their emotional world is almost like this cage filled with all these monsters and demons that they have to fight. The reason they prefer a more quiet life and the reason they are more private people is because it's difficult to fight these monsters and demons in this cage that they're in when they're surrounded by other people all the time. Other people don't help them fight these monsters and demons. Other people aren't even aware of what these monsters and demons are, or what they can do. When other people see the monsters and demons inside them, other people are like, what the hell? What is wrong with this person? What is this? People can get so scared and intimidated and freaked out by a Scorpio moon's actual emotions. And in this analogy, I'm comparing their emotions to monsters and demons. And a Scorpio moon knows that other people can't deal with their emotions / monsters and demons. So the best way for them to fight these monsters and demons is alone, because these monsters and demons are going to scare everybody else away. People often underestimate Scorpio moon people. They think that they're these quiet, harmless creatures. However, that is far away from the truth. Scorpio moon people are actually sitting there in silence, watching and observing everything around them. They might not say that they're watching and observing everything, and they might not be the person who's attracting the most attention to them, but they are highly aware of everything that is going on, even the things that you might not know is going on. Scorpio moon people aren't your biggest team players. The reason for this is because Scorpio moons are usually so aware of other people's hidden intentions that they don't really want to deal with these people. They don't really want to associate or interact with these people, but the Scorpio moon knows that they can't say straight up, I don't want to really interact with this person or deal with this person because they secretly have these motivations and these intentions, because other people will think they're crazy and other people won't believe them. For this reason, they just prefer not to interact with other people. They just prefer not to be in crowds. They prefer not to socialize with strangers. Why do they have to socialize with a person when they're completely aware of this person's more darker motivations towards them and towards other people? Why should they waste their time? This is the way that a Scorpio Moon sees things. You can't force a Scorpio Moon to be a team player because they're highly aware of the darker intentions of the entire team. How's a Scorpio Moon supposed to play along with the entire team if they're aware of what the team's actually trying to do? A Scorpio Moon can't be convinced and fooled as easily as other people to join a group and to be part of a team or to do a specific thing. And like I said earlier, Scorpio Moons find it incredibly tricky to trust people. And once you have gained their trust, you better be sure not to ever do anything that will make them doubt you, because once you've gained their trust, it's very, very easy to lose it again. Gaining and keeping a Scorpio Moon's trust is literally one of the most difficult things to achieve in this world. Probably as tricky and difficult as climbing Everest is. Because Scorpio Moons are so highly aware of the emotions and these hidden intentions of other people, they make for some of the best psychologists and psychiatrists. These people have a profound ability to really get into the human psyche and to help people deal with a lot of problems that they have. Scorpio Moon people have an ability to make you aware of your darker side, of your darker nature, and to help you heal yourself. But the problem is, it's a very uncomfortable process. Very often, people resist the input and the help that the Scorpio Moon is trying to give them because people do not want to face their darker side. They do not want to face this more negative side inside themselves because they've been denying it for so long. However, the Scorpio Moon is aware that it's there, and the Scorpio Moon is trying to help them work through this. Now, not every Scorpio Moon will use their ability to see the emotions of other people for good. Some Scorpio Moons will have bad intentions, and they will use their ability to look into the human psyche to use it against people. They'll observe people's weaknesses and they'll use people's weaknesses against them. Not all Scorpio Moons do this, but like I said, some of them can. Scorpio Moons have such strong emotions that they literally pour their heart and the love and the passion into every single thing it is that they do. For this reason, they do not like being involved in pretentious situations or superficial people, because they're not going to pour their heart and their passion into something that is pretentious or superficial. They only want to pour their heart and passion into something that is real. Scorpio Moons can be highly intimidating to a lot of people because a lot of people refuse to face their dark side. They refuse to face their vulnerabilities, and they kind of just want to remain a victim to themselves for the rest of their lives. Scorpio Moons tend to literally break through these people's barriers. Scorpio Moons break down people's egos, and they make these people see themselves for who they really are. Very often, other people struggle to deal with this. They'll shut out the Scorpio Moon and they'll refuse to deal with the Scorpio Moon because they cannot face themselves. They refuse to deal with themselves. You cannot be in a relationship with a Scorpio Moon and refuse to change. A Scorpio Moon will make you face all those dark things inside you, and they will force you to change. They'll force you to transform yourself, and if you don't, then the relationship is over. Most Scorpio Moons start out their life as these very chaotic people that other people look at and they're like, what the hell's going on with this person? This person can't control their emotions. This person is highly extreme. This person is way too much. But then as the Scorpio Moon gets older and they learn self-control and personal power, over time, the people that thought the Scorpio Moon was crazy will go to the Scorpio Moon and ask them to teach them how they learned this personal power and this inner control. It is only through losing themselves in this madness that they're actually able to find themselves and become the strongest version of themselves they can possibly be. Scorpio Moons become so highly emotionally involved and attached to whatever it is that they're attached to and passionate about, that it literally ends up consuming them. It ends up up taking over their life. It ends up becoming who they are. If this thing that they so dearly desire and that they're so passionate about is unable to bring them the happiness that they seek, it can feel like life is ending for them. Most people generally forget about things and they move on and they find something new that makes them happy. However, a Scorpio Moon can't. A Scorpio Moon only has that one thing that will make them happy, and they obsess about that thing. Very often to a Scorpio Moon, it can feel that people don't hear them and people don't listen to them. That is why they become so emotionally explosive and extreme. They can shout at people. They can be so intense to deal with, because very often this is the only way that they feel that people will hear them. The thing is, Scorpio Moons really do not want to feel so intense and so extreme inside themselves. They just want to feel happy, peace, and calm. In most cases, Scorpio Moons would literally trade this emotional intensity that they feel to just be a normal person who basically feels nothing. Scorpio Moons can be some of the most prolific creatives out there because they're able to transmute their emotions and feelings into some of the most incredible works of art. The only problem is, whenever they do feel these intense emotions, they just really wish they can escape. They hate it. They don't want to feel it. It's too much for them. But the problem is, they'll tell themselves, I'm not going to go through this again. I'm going to be stronger next time. I'm going to control myself. But then what happens is the volcano erupts and the emotions are back again, and they're exactly back in the same place they were before with these overwhelming emotions that they don't really know what to do with. Okay, so that is it for Scorpio Moon today. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to my channel if you would like to see some more astrology and spirituality videos. Let me know in the comments what you thought of this video. Do you have a Scorpio Moon, and can you relate to what I said? Do you know someone who has a Scorpio Moon who has similar behaviors and traits to this? Check out the link to my Patreon below if you'd like to become a patron of mine and if you'd like to support this channel. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.